And I'm back with more Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. We're getting towards the nitty-gritty of this case. Case 1-5. We still have a day's worth of investigation to go. But the pieces are starting to fall into place. So let's go ask some questions. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to do in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew the SL9 incident was the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about the killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean happened to you? It's all there in the file. The last victim was Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. What did you have to do with it? On the night Marshall was murdered, he tried to kill me. He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother was only trying to save me. So that means I was a witness to the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of year, too. It was a terrible thunderstorm that day. It was unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once this finished up her work. Then, this terrifying man came into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone and he pulled a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Marshall attacked him. And then, I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. A bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. What did you see? Dark knocked Mr. Marshall down and raised his knife. Marshall was stabbed right in front of the poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. I've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. I must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with testimonies, and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I'm starting to understand it. There's still something that bothers me. I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about it? No. I was only asked about when I was attacked. It must be why she made it up. You mean forged evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly, she forged evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yeah, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was been given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though I may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she was today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did. There's something that's puzzling me. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Questioning? By the police? Of course. That happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview, and he fled into my sister's office. Why do you want all the way over there? Because the detective's office and the questioning room were right across the elevator. Across the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No. Didn't I tell you? She was a detective. She was the best in the force. Oh, that's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. She was a detective. Better have another talk with her. Well, let's go. God, 2 weeks on and my nose is still stuffy. Ick. Lana? Mr. Wright. Seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul, so why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Emma told me about you. What? About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how SL9 was the reason for your transfer. That's right. Could you fill me in on that? Especially about the change in jobs? I suppose you have a right to know. A lot of revelations were uncovered in today's trial, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you. I believed that no matter what, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. All drama aside, the fact of the matter is at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true. What she said? About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife? Lana! I don't get it! Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen her look so fazed before. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. The lead investigator was Damon Gant, right? Yes. Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office for the same investigations. They even had the same office? We led a team of the best detectives. Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come for questioning, and we were desperate for evidence. That's when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was just trying to save me. You see, the first person that happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Oh, now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, and so we must have panicked. You see, waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down and fled the room. From there, he ran straight into the office, shared by Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run into the scene? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning him. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3? Marshall, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. He'd incurred a minor concussion and laid unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her after all her sister went through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases that she and Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? He was deputy chief back then, but he still worked crime scenes. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Trill idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I'd always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience so you could use it in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in SL9? That's right. Kind of coincidence, huh? I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. But the case was solved 2 years ago. The one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with all the rulings against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live with the rest of their lives with their memories. The case might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark in the police department, right? And the office that Gant and I shared. The office that Gant occupies by himself. The chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the office. The site of the murder. Oh. Oh, that's gonna go well. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things are kind of quiet today. Chief of Detectives seems the same, though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Uh-oh. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall! Never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Hey, sirrah, sirrah. You never know where life will lead you, huh? Should have known my luck I'd run into old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go into the evidence room today. But Mr. Marshall, why'd you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If there was ever a case that needed to know the truth, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. You mean that switchblade knife?
That was Joe Dark's alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. The blade of the knife was not a perfect match for the wound the victim sustained.
What does that mean?
It means there's a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report we finally submitted, that possibility was erased.
Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence?
That case left behind scars on all of us.
The scars of the SL9 incident left behind.
There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired, and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room.
What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too,
or if they did something to him too, commissioners would have gotten suspicious. They were careful enough to not be too obvious.
They? Who are you talking about?
Don't get upset. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. The investigation team. You know that already. There wasn't a person in the force hadn't heard of them. This case was the biggest step in both their careers. After the case ended,
she went to the prosecutor's office, right?
Yeah. Damon Gant, new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left.
Everyone knew her?
Said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different from when she was a detective.
Now that he mentions it, Emma said the same thing too. What happened to my sister?
Sorry, but her secret's too well guarded.
I never found out. Lana's secret started 2 years ago.
I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when it all went down. It was our first case together.
How old was he, your brother?
He was 27. He was awarded the highest honor that very day.
You mean
King of Prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for the prosecution.
Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day that...
Right. It was the day of the evidence transferal. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall, there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth ain't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone was Damon Gant. Don't believe me? I don't blame you. I wouldn't even be a patrolman today. So, too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Oof. Alright. Oh boy. Soon enough, we're going to be talking with Gant himself. Ugh. That's going to be fun, isn't it, Righto? I'll see everybody next time.